Welcome back, everybody. As you have just seen on your screen, we are chatting African History Month. And joining me this morning to speak of it is Dr. Shirlene Chase, who is an emissary of the Holy Qubtic Church, as well as Job Gums, who is an emissary of the Holy Qubtic Church as well. And we are going to be speaking about the significance of African History Month and what the Holy Qubtic Church has been up to. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here this morning, and happy African History Month.
Thank you. Happy African History Month to you also.
Thank you. So
the entire country.
Yes. Of course. Now let's speak about, from the standpoint of the Holy Qubtic Church, the significance of African History Month.
Well, African History Month is scheduled for November in Trinidad and Tobago, but we do have our International African Holocaust Month in October as a church. Now, being an African teaching church, it is only right, only fitting that we host African History Month events because, after all, we are a teaching church.
Now, how has the new normal, as you know, that they've named it, how has the new normal impacted the usual proceedings for this month, with the Holy Qubtic Church?
Well, normally we'd have events where we're going from community center to community center. We had a partnership with NALIS last year,
right.
But with the new normal, everything is now virtual. So there are 24 libraries throughout Trinidad and Tobago, and we'll be doing a separate topic for each one. Our theme this year is, Joe, what's our theme this year?
We must not forget.
We must not forget. But we have a different topic for each community library or each library. So that's how we're doing it this year. It's a little different, but what you get is the perpetual content on the page, which will go on and on, even beyond African History Month.
And Job, tell us about some of the subject matter that will be covered in these sessions that you've partnered with NALIS for.
Well, some of the actual topics will be Africans were not pagans. We must not forget slave mind, post-traumatic slave syndrome, which is the effects, after effects or aftermath from slavery, and so on and so on.
Well, let's get a little more in-depth and a little more detail. Let's touch on the topic of the, as you said, we must not forget. Education and passing on information is something that is so important. So how does the Qubtic Church continue to, keep this conversation going and, keep the messages heard?
Well, as the Holy Qubtic Church, the way in which we keep the information going on, of course, is by teaching and answering everyone's questions. So we always say we are a teaching church, so we say, well, look, we tend to take questions. So if someone has a question on any subject pertaining to anything dealing with Africa and African people, whether in the diaspora or home at Africa, we will answer those questions based on whatever they answer, using science, using geography, geometry, language, music. We will answer each and every one of these questions in whichever capacity necessary so that the person can understand what's happening. And that's very important.
Yes.
Because as a people, we are always waiting for someone else to present on Africa rather than us. But it has been a tradition where most of the times the colonial masters are the ones, even today, that are the authorities or the authors of most of these subjects.
And Dr. Chase, tell us now about the online lecture series.
Oh, we have an online lecture series. Well, on Tuesdays, we have a Facebook Live that's from 7 to about 8:20. And that's chatting with the Atonis emissaries, where we come on, we have various topics. We make jokes all the time. We have fun, but we deliver a message to the people. And within this African History Month, that's being incorporated. Then we also have the Saturday Resurrection and Revival series. That's via Zoom from 7 to 9, where we're going to be delivering on various topics, all pertaining to African history and the way we Sankofa as a people. Sankofa looking back to go forward. Because as Brother Job has been teaching over the past 2 weeks with this whole African History Month, when we had the bombing in Hiroshima, the Japanese, they looked back to go forward. They went back to their ways, their traditional ways of doing things. In India, we had nationalism. They looked back to go forward. So that's what we're doing.
Wonderful. And, you know, for those of us, so we've spoken before on the show, but for
Yeah.
those who are viewing that may not know what the Holy Coptic Church is, can you tell us what the church is and what the church is about?
Well, the Holy Coptic Church, as we call it, the African Teaching Church, when we use this word Coptic, this word Coptic comes from the word Cupt, which means axis or central point. And this is what Africa or Africa is to the world, in that everyone came to Africa. They'll call it the cradle of civilization, where everyone came, study, learn, and take that which they learned back to their various lands and where they civilized themselves. So the Holy Coptic Church, the African Teaching Church, which tends to present the scriptures on the various topics surrounding our people from an African perspective.
Wonderful.
You know, there's
And
a proverb that says, until the lion learns to tell the story of the hunt will always be told by the hunter. And of course, the hunter will glorify the hunter, not the hunted.
there's some deep words there. And how long has the Coptic Church been in existence in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, we have been around for the last 10 to 12 years, but fully active probably in the last 5 years or so.
5 years or so. And
This is
if
not a new
individuals,
religion.
sorry, you go on.
Oh, this is not a new religion. It's now being revived in Trinidad. And it's not only in Trinidad, it is in the US, that we have South Carolina, Florida, the Bahamas,
South Africa,
India,
Ghana,
Liberia,
yeah.
Middle East, well, so-called Middle East. We'll get into that topic in one of our teaching series also.
Right. All right. And so you're all over.
All over.
But, yeah, it's great to know.
We
So
like
if
to-
persons wanted more information on the church and then afterward more information on the online lecture series, how do we find it?
Well, our Facebook tag is the Holy Coptic Church, TnT, as in dynamite, trinitrotoluene. Yeah. And you'll get all the information on our live and the Zoom ID and the password to enter the room on the Facebook page.
platform, yes.
All right. And with that, well, everyone can go out and get more information on the church there. And with that, I want to say thank you very much. And again, happy African History Month to Dr. Shirlene Chase, emissary of the Holy Coptic Church, as well as my second guest, Job Gums, emissary of the same. Happy African History Month, and thank you for joining us this morning.